Welcome, everybody. My name is Annelise, and I take you into a journey to rediscover yourself through self-development. We are glad you're listening to us. Part of self-development is working on what you love to do. So the intent is to open discussion about certain topics. Then you, who is out there listening us to this, can start your journey with some tools. Today, we are glad to have Eric in the house. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Annelise. It's good to be talking to you.
The same here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Originally Mexican, but I'm a marine biologist working in the US. I graduated from my PhD California, and now I'm a postdoctoral researcher working at Old Dominion University in Virginia. And we study fish populations from the Philippines, and we study how human activities could impact the ability of fishes to adapt to changes. So we study how things that humans do change the genes of fishes.
Thank you very much for sharing that, so people get to know a little bit about yourself. I want to share something with you and all the audience, all the tribe, and would like you to elaborate a little bit, and of course, what do you think about this? So, coral reefs are endangered by a variety of factors, including natural phenomena such as hurricanes, El Niño, and diseases. Local threats such as overfishing, destructive fishing techniques, what is coastal development as well, pollution, and of course, careless tourism, and the global effects of climate change, as well as because it's warming seas and increasing levels. So what do you think about this, Eric?
Well, I feel like that's pretty open-ended question, but what I think is that's definitely happening. So it is a problem. Global warming is real. It's a problem, and it's a really sad problem as well. Yeah, do you want to what I think in general about what's happening?
Yeah, overall, about your opinion. You know, we read so many things, and mainly we get information from the media, but most of the time, you know, like it's not 100% true. So it's much better, at least from my perspective, is to get to know people like you. You're a marine biologist, so getting to know the real facts. And since your career, it's I know you have been doing a lot of research, so sometimes it's much better to get the information through real people instead of just getting an opinion from media. Sometimes it's not 100% true what they say. So what about? I know that not many people know what is a coral reef. So what? Could you explain us a little bit what is a coral reef?
Yeah, coral reef, they're basically a reef in a shallow part of the ocean. So what people normally think about a coral, let's say a coral head, that's actually a colony of the actual animal is an animal, and the polyps, or like the tentacles, each of those is actually one animal. So the head, or what normally people think of a coral, is actually a colony of many animals living together. And so each of those little polyps, or is one animal that, as it grows, is making this calcium structure. And that calcium structure is what eventually makes a reef. And whenever you have a reef, then you have a lot of other animals living in the reef as well. So I wanted just maybe to talk to you about the previous question a little bit more.
Yes, please.
So, yeah, sorry, I was I wasn't sure where you wanted me to go with the question, but I think just in general, like if you want just sort of like a general answer, you know, you're trying
Yes, yes, we want that actually. We want more like truthful and authentic answer, as we are, we are plagued by so many politicians and also organizations worldwide talking about the subject of environment, and sometimes people wonder, is that true or not? Like we start like being different kind of groups believing if this is true or not. And I do believe this is true because it's based on facts and because I inform myself as well. So this is more like a sharing mouth to mouth, if we could say. So since you're a marine biologist, yeah, please share with us.
Yeah, well, that's, the main message is that is true, that is happening, and we see it. And it is very frustrating with the things that you're talking about, that the media just kind of plays with the information to mix the messages, right? And so people don't know what to believe. That happens in everything, right? But in this as well. And so it's very frustrating.
The politicians too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It is definitely very frustrating, but there's a lot of evidence, and pretty much anybody that looks at the evidence, and they can't say that it's not real. So we know it is real, it's happening. So corals are dying. We don't know if they're all gonna die. There are corals that are immune as well, but global warming is very real and it's a serious problem. And I think people, maybe like you're saying, because you hear mixed messages, people don't know what to believe. But the other side of what I wanted to say is a really sad problem as well, because of at the same time people don't believe it, and so that people don't realize that themselves could be making a difference. So even any person could be helping, not just coral reefs, right, but helping global warming in general, and that's going to help coral reefs, but things like the climate as well, the weather, as you said. Small things that you do every day in your life can make a difference. You would say just a single person cannot make a difference, but when a million people do the same thing, these small steps, those accumulate and make a difference in the world. And so I'm talking about very small, easy things like turning off your lights if you don't need them. So basically decreasing your carbon footprint, right? So turning off your lights, don't waste in the water, don't use plastics as much, or reduce your plastics as much as you can. Don't, if you go to a restaurant, don't use straws for drinking your, whatever you're drinking. Recycle as much as possible. Use, don't use plastic utensils. All these are very simple things, right? So try to live in as most normal as you can, right? Anything that takes energy is contributing to the global warming in at some point, right? So I think if everybody realizes, people in general realize that small things that people can do, that you can do in your everyday life, if everybody does the same, then that could make a change. And so I think it is kind of sad that future generations are not going to see the same world that we see it in our generation, previous generations. And at the same time, I think that it is a responsibility, everybody's responsibility, to try to do whatever we can do to preserve as much as possible. Like, we know we're going to be losing diversity, coral reefs, but it's not about whether we're going to lose it or not. We are going to be losing diversity, but it's how much we're going to be losing. And so it's everybody's responsibility to, do whatever you can do so then we don't lose as much.
Thank you very much for that sharing. Yeah, for me, it's very important, this subject, because I'm currently having a project which is related to the protection of coral reefs. I'm currently supporting this nonprofit that covers, almost everybody here, all my audience, they know I live in Hawaii. So this nonprofit is supporting and protecting the Hawaiian Islands, but also the Mesoamerican region. So for me, it's just very important to come with this subject, and that also I am kind of doing fashion design for helping actually coral reefs. So what do you think is the importance of coral reefs for human, right? As we see it as, oh my gosh, it's just, like some people think, oh, it's just global warming affecting others. That's not affecting me. So the same as, okay, coral reefs are not in my region directly. Some might say that. So what do you think is the importance for coral reefs for humanity, right?
Sure. Well, coral reefs are maybe one of the most important habitats. It's definitely one of the most diverse habitats in the world. And what's really cool about coral reefs, if you want to talk about diversity, how many different kinds of animals live in a habitat, then coral reef is one of the highest. People compare it a lot with rainforests on land, right? So rainforest is a lot of animals. So it's like really high.
But in the water.
But the difference between rainforest and coral reef is that we have really long stretches of rainforest. So it's a big land where you have a lot of animals and plants diversity, overall organisms, not just animals, right? But the coral reefs, they only occupy about like 1% of the ocean's floor, and they are the house of about 1/4 of all marine life in the entire ocean. So about 1/4 of all life lives in only 1% of the ocean's floor, right, of the ocean space. So it is the highest diverse habitat per area of any other habitats in the world. So I mean, it's for that perspective, coral reefs are massively important because is where all these organisms live, right? So we have a really high diversity in coral reefs. So that could be one. I can't say
importance.
Yeah, that was one importance. Was one of the points. And so people might say that, well, why do I care if we have a lot of fish and a lot of invertebrates, a lot of corals? Like, I don't really care about that. But it does actually affect everybody, because just having a good diversity. So for example, a lot of medicines, a lot of products that are eventually made into medicine, they come from organisms that live in coral reefs.
True.
So if you lose a lot of that, if you lose coral reefs, then you can lose some of that diversity for medicine, for example. And we can synthesize a lot of medicines nowadays, but there's also the potential of what you can find in the future as well, because we know only so much of the diversity that is out there, and there's more to know. So there's more products. So there's something that could be found in the future. So that's perhaps another benefit of the coral reef. Perhaps the biggest benefits of coral reef, and maybe, if you say that you're vegetarian, maybe you say it doesn't apply to you, but it's just food for the world. Most, I don't know, I think something like 50% of animal protein that is consumed around the world is fish. So, there is more fish consumed than any other animal protein around the world. And that's even more important on poor countries and third world poor countries. I should say around the world, I think it's about 20% overall consumed animal protein is fish. In poor and developing countries, that could be about 50% of the protein could be fish. So a lot of people eat fish, a lot of people depend on fish, a lot of families. So if you go to a small island, like you live in Hawaii, Hawaii is pretty developed, but if you go to other smaller islands and just communities, even within Hawaii, you have communities that the entire livelihoods depend on fishing. You have families that if they don't fish, they don't eat. So having a good diversity and having coral reef basically feeds a lot of people. So that's perhaps the most direct benefit of coral reef to humans. And there are a lot of indirect benefits too, as well, even if you don't live by the coast, or even if you don't eat fish. So like the example of the medicines, that could be one. Coral reefs also do protect the coast a lot. So they protect the coast from eroding from storms. So they break waves, right? And so the wave action gets reduced. So when it gets to the coast, the wave action is definitely reduced. So you get less erosion. So the coasts are very dynamic. They're always changing. So if we didn't have coral reef, you would basically losing some of the coast, right? Coral reefs also give you sandy beaches, right? So a lot of those, you like to go to the beach and have a nice white sand. That sand is coming from the corals, from all corals that get ground by the waves, and then they go in and give you a beach. So that's another benefit. And I mean, the coolest benefit is that you can go and see them and see the diversity of fishes and be amazed of how diverse life can be and how they all make their living in this coral reef. And if you go and swim, you could be scuba diving or just snorkeling. And if you just take your time and wait there for 1-2 minutes, you start watching interactions between different types of fishes or organisms, and you realize that there are roles in the community. They form a community, and so you have fishes that clean other fishes. You have some fishes herbivores. They are eating the algae. You got others that are the predators, right? And so you see the predators waiting for some other fish to get distracted, and you see them watching each other. So there are all kinds of interactions, and it's amazing to see them in person. And then the fish are reacting to you as well, but then they're also reacting to everybody, all the other fishes in the community, right? So you can see that, and it's just really amazing to see that. It's almost like you're an alien in their city. So you go and see what's happening. I think of a coral reef almost like a city, and there's all kinds of different roles in the city. You have people making, bread, crops. You have other people, producing meat. So that's sort of like how I think of a coral reef, like a city. And you can see that, and, you are definitely in their world. And to have that feeling, I think is priceless, just to feel like you're just another creature in this habitat. So
definitely we are another critter. Another kind of.
So and then just being able to, whenever I take in students, or I go with people that usually haven't, snorkel on a reef, when you take students or people and they go and see these, and watching their faces of excitement and amazement is super awesome,
Oh yeah, I have some experiences as well while snorkeling. Of course, it's amazing, as you're saying, and it's a whole experience. It's a new whole experience, because we used to, be in the routine, the system, do our work, and we don't actually have enough interaction with nature. And if we don't do, we are not most of the time informed about how they interact and what is the richness of all that biodiversity. And so for me, as I was saying, those experiences were life-changing a little bit, because you realize, oh my gosh, I'm just part of the whole, you know. It's not just the humans, right, in the world. No, there is more than that. And also, as you were mentioning, previously mentioning about the research, I have read that Alzheimer's, if I'm pronouncing it well, disease, they're doing a lot of research using coral reefs to see if there's a cure or not. So don't mistaken, you audience out there, that coral reefs are not important for us. And I just bring this subject because as I was saying, right, we are not informed enough to have a clear opinion. So it's good to learn. And there are many politicians out there that they just want to pretend there's nothing wrong with the environment, and that affects directly coral reefs as well. Because I'm just cheering up because it's my subject. I feel passionate about it, and I appreciate so much you are sharing all this knowledge, and also your personal opinion. So thank you very much for that.
No, thanks for having me. This is fun.